let's get into it. So, first of all, we've met before.
Yes.
We met at the beach randomly.
Dude, I was going to say that. I was thinking that when I rocked up.
I'm like, hopefully you remember.
Yeah. And you were Brad?
Yeah, I was with Brad. Yeah. And his big dog, when it was still like a puppy.
Yep.
It's like,
so
I call it the Narnia dog, because I swear it's so big. And we're at a mate's house on the weekend, and we had everyone's dogs there. It was Dogs Mania.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, yeah, you can bring your dog, Brad. It's a bit bigger than our little fluffy dogs. He gets there, everything's good, and they open the gate to the pool for 2 seconds, and Brad comes running over. Don't let the dog in, and the dog runs in, jumps straight in the pool. It's like a cold winter afternoon, like it was freezing there, and he's like, no, and there's water going everywhere, and I was like, such a cool dog, like it loves the golden retrievers, like they love the water.
Best dogs ever.
So how old were you then? And was that like 3-4 years ago or 3 years ago?
3. I think I was like 18, maybe just turned 18.
Yeah, because you were with a friend.
Yeah.
You were all just sitting there in your bikini.
Yeah, a friend that's not a friend anymore.
Yeah, that happens when you're 18, 19.
Yeah.
How many times did that happen in my life? Like some of my closest friends, just like either an incident happens and or just the slow drift away is always the weird ones as well.
Dude, you're like, you get to a point though, and you don't even need like a big circle of mates. And like people say to me all the time, people are like, wow, like you don't have a lot of friends. I'm like, I don't want to have a lot of friends. Like it's actually not worth my time.
When you're in school, like a lot of my younger clients, they're always like, oh, I wish I had more friends. Like this girl's popular, or this guy's like the popular guy or whatever. And I was like, it gets different when you get older.
Dude, and people get so hung up on it. I used to be so hung up on it. I just wanted to like have enough people to fill my time. Like I wanted to hang out with someone different. I wanted everyone to know my name. I thought it was so cool.
You wanted to know that like when you got to like Ocean Street or the parties or whatever, that like you had like a crew or whatever.
Yeah, people like Steph Keenan. Like wow. But like now it really makes no difference.
Now you're like, it's funny, it's now the opposite. I was listening to a funny podcast with two dads that are like, one guy's kind of like been on like one of those like 9 or 7 like shows where it's like a talk show or whatever, but he does like ads for Target and stuff.
Yeah.
And he's talking about the dad, and he was like, you can't use your kids to make friends at the park. And the other guy's like, what do you mean? He's like, well, one of the other parents got our number, got our kid to come over us and ask him to hang out with us. And he was like, I don't say that because I'm like famous or anything. He goes, I just don't have time for more friends.
Yeah.
It's like you get to the point now where you're happy to have like 2-3 good friends. That's enough.
Any more than that's too much.
Yeah. And people are asking you to go to like, if you have 30 friends, there's a lot of birthdays and weddings and celebrations, and you like have to make up too many excuses.
This year turning 21.
Everyone's
crazy.
turning 21.
Everyone's having 21st. I'm like, every weekend I'm like, nah, that's it. Like I need a bit of time off. Like I'm done drinking. And then there's another 21st next weekend. I'm like, gosh, you need to chill out.
Yeah. So where were you at? Because you were 18 at the time.
Yeah.
So that was around like what? How old are you now?
21.
21. So it was around that like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
That's a strange age to be for a young person, especially a young female, especially like you were literally born into like, you would have turned 18 and TikTok came out basically.
Yeah.
Like came from America.
It was like
or whatever.
right when I was like at the end of school, and if you were doing TikTok, you're a loser. Like.
But now it's like, oh, I've got 1 million followers or whatever. So like, you've got Instagram, you've got TikTok, you've got Snapchat. Everyone like my young clients, I'm like, oh, shoot me a message on Messenger, and they're like, I can Snapchat you, and I'm like,
no one uses Messenger.
Like,
You're old.
I had a Facebook group for Booty by Jax, and none of the young girls even had Facebook.
Yeah, literally, you see someone in person, you go, oh, do you see what I put on Facebook? People all the time, do you see what I put in that Facebook group chat? And I'm like,
I haven't been on there.
I don't check Facebook.
It's tough, eh? So coming back, it's like you were 18.
Yeah.
And you're at probably one of the craziest technology social media stages. There's so much pressure for a young girl to look like that girl in LA or one of the twins that are famous or some gym.
Yeah.
Like there's all these girls that it's not that they've done more work than anyone else.
Yeah.
It's not like when you see a girl in their like early 30s that is in good shape, which usually means either they've put some effort in or they've ate healthy, but like it's just genetic lottery.
Yeah.
Like some girls who get famous on Instagram or TikTok, just like they just happen to have a smaller waist, this genetics, and you're seeing this just flashing in front of your eyes every day, and you go from 16, 17, 18, all your hormones are developing, you're becoming like a young lady. What's the pressures like?
It's crazy.
It's crazy, yeah.
It's crazy. And like, if you're not developing the same way other people are, like like you don't feel attractive. And until
Yeah.
I got my boobs done like 3 months ago, the start of this year.
Oh, I didn't even know.
Yeah. And until then, like, it's so crazy because like it's not really changed how I look a whole lot. Like
You didn't go overboard?
No. And it's like 250 cc's, so it's like a full B cup now from like, and I was pretty flat chested, but like I literally, like the way I view myself was so warped. Like I didn't feel like a woman.
Yeah.
And it's so sad.
I can so understand that, not from because I have experience being a woman.
Yeah.
But like, for example, no one really knows this, and we've never tried to hide it. And I always say it in like long form content, or if someone asks. But Alicia has breast implants.
Yeah.
And she was exactly like you was explaining. Yeah. We were together for like a year, and she still didn't want to take a bra off when we were having sex.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I love you no matter what. I'm just doing it because, you know, I'm naked, we both get naked or whatever.
Yeah.
And she was like, it would revolt to me because I feel disgusting. I have no boobs.
Yeah.
And then it was from what like a boyfriend said to her when she was like in high school about her boobs, or not even a boyfriend, a guy that she like hooked up with or whatever it is. Yeah. And it stayed with her. And every time she looks at herself. But what's crazy is it wasn't a big deal because Alicia's 30 now. So this is over 11, 12 years ago, big booties weren't really in like Australia and our kind of thing. It was like big boobs.
Yeah.
And what Alicia didn't realise is like on the rear end, she had some of the best glutes ever.
Yeah.
And over time, she's realised that, yes, getting the implants was a big help for her because it made her feel more feminine.
Yeah.
And that's probably something that you felt that it just created that.
But that's one thing that like TikTok is the most negative, toxic environment. Like I've never been on a social media platform that is so fucking negative.
And it's the fastest way to grow because the more viral comments and people, sorry to butt in, but people will write things, but they'll never say shit like that to anyone into their face.
No, absolutely not. And like, but like I had a TikTok account that I probably got to like 75K before it got deleted. And I got to the point where I was posting videos either A, of me crying because it's what did really well, or B, in like a crop top because people like filled the fucking comments with like, you're so flat chested and like shit like
You're
that.
like growth. Like
Yeah,
you
and
start to like plan content around what's going to get the most comments, but it also really hurts your feelings. Like, yes, you feel good because the views are high, but you can't ignore that it hurts.
And it gave me like somewhat like a thick skin, but also like it made it such an insecurity for me. Like
it was like a villain strategy.
Yeah. And like I'm like, well, I may as well like harness this and use it.
Yeah.
But like it really, really got to me. And then like so like I started this new account, like I had my boobs done. My arms were too hairy, like that's all the comments. And I'm like, fuck me, like I can't do anything.
One side of your eyebrows is a bit higher than the other.
Dude, there's
like,
always something. There's always something.
I'll post a video with Alicia, like spotting her for doing a pull-up or whatever, and like I'll be glancing down at her ass or whatever, or it'll look like that in the video.
Yeah.
And people will just, because I don't say like, or they don't even read it, they'll be like, this is why I don't let my girlfriend have a trainer, or girls will be like, I'll look at him staring or whatever, and I'm like, well, I'll be in the comments, this is my wife, this is my wife to be, like together for 11 fucking years.
Yeah.
And regardless though, like even if I'm with a client in the gym and I do a video of them doing an RDL and I'm standing behind them, of course I'm watching their hips bend.
Duh, that's your job.
They're doing an RDL,
right.
And the comments go crazy. But then it's like, it's fueled some of the growth. So it's so weird because I don't want those comments to be there.
Yeah.
I actually made a rule from listening to a lot of Joe Rogan. I just don't look at the comments anymore.
Yeah.
You just look at, and I believe that like at some stage you should have a glance through like once every 2 or 3 months.
Yeah.
Okay, is my growth something that's like not growing? Like if a lot of my followers not fitness or not like whatever niche you're trying to grow.
Yeah.
But overall, like you're never going to please everyone on TikTok or any social media.
Oh, absolutely not.
Why do you think it's the younger generation, or do you think it's that TikTok, like there's no DMs in TikTok? There's TikTok have created that where you can, like most people who are commenting is like user 7477.
Yeah.
Like
I think people feel so removed from it. Like people don't even view it as like a one-on-one conversation, or that like anyone's ever going to read your comment. But
we're never going to find out who you are.
Yeah. So it really doesn't matter what you say to them.
I like did the most dumb, angry guy shit years ago. It was like when I was first on TikTok and I started blowing up. I had a guy take this happens all the time, so I ignore it now. I use it as a compliment now, but the first time a guy took my video of me coaching a client, I wasn't in it, it was just of my client, so he took it and then he like bullied my client in the video, trying to say that the exercise wasn't the right technique or saying there's a better exercise for glutes or whatever. And I became very protective over my client, but also my branding. And then because he had a pretty decent following from bullying everyone on TikTok, like his followers are bullies that are bullying with him.
Is that not so nutty that's a thing?
It's crazy. Like he has like a bullying page, but he uses everyone else's content because he's not very good looking himself.
Yeah.
Then he has this cheap ass microphone that he speaks really close in, so it's got the ASMR stuff going on. And I was like, fuck it. Like, he wants to be a gangster. We'll see who's a gangster. And I tried to find out, I looked up his full name and details and stuff. And then I got a hold of him. And I was like, if I see you, I'm going to bash you. And then I was just like, what am I doing? Like, he's winning if I'm coming back and having a go at him. And then I basically went off at him in the comments saying like, all these things, and he was a TikTok nerd. He knew what to say to get my comments removed. Like what? Because every time I'd write something, TikTok would be like, "You cannot use this," and it wouldn't let me reply. And I was like, "I'm trying to use bad words here." And lesson was learned because I took that for like 3 days in my mind, and it decayed like a disease inside me. Where I was like planning how to fly over to America and find him and bash him or whatever. And I was just like, what am I doing?
Dude, it consumes you. It really does. And that's what you actually just can't give it the power. It's like you have to stay on top of it and just put out what you want to put out and then let it do its thing. And like, don't invest any time or energy into it.
And some of the people that are blowing up the most and having good success, they've learnt that through like trial and error and failure like I did. You know, I'm not impressed in like me being like, I'm gonna bash this guy. It's like, what, dude? Like, what do you mean? He could be, maybe you won't, but why are you carrying this? Like, he lives in America, of course. You can't get to him. He's not, and it's only going to grow his thing. And then I had all of his followers on some of my posts, like writing stuff, like attacking me. And then I felt like belittled, and I was like, everybody's against me. But you know what? A week later, stopped replying. Everything stopped.
And that's the thing, like, if it serves you, reply, 100%. If that's going to make you feel better, if that's going to help you sleep at night, then do it, whatever. But, like, if it's genuinely to get back in, you're never, ever going to change someone's mind on something. There's no point.
So, you're 18. You know, you're living your life or trying to live your life. And you've got the pressures from exterior world, like, you know, social media, you know, all that stuff. Where is your mindset at? Like, are you, because you weren't really like as big as what you are on Instagram then. Like, you were kind of just young. You know.
I was probably the least confident version of myself I've ever been.
Do you think a lot of girls at 18 are in that same position?
Probably, actually, Like, I was so insecure. Like, I couldn't name one thing I really liked about myself at the time.
Which is so bizarre, because when Brad and I seen you and the dog ran over to you and your friend, me and Brad were like, oh, these girls are quite attractive. And me and Brad made a joke like, oh, you've trained your dog well, like as in a joke. Like, we always have that joke. And, you know, both had partners, but I always say to everyone, if you think that your partner doesn't think anyone else is attractive, including men, I'll see other good-looking guys and be like, he's a good-looking guy.
Dude, that's 100% normal.
I'm always honest about this, because anyone who says their partner doesn't find anyone else attractive, I'm not saying to pursue them sexually attractive.
But like to look at someone and know that they're an attractive human being, there's actually nothing wrong with it. And it is probably more of an issue because you're lying about it.
I think a lot of guys have like shame because they've tried to be the perfect boyfriend that says like, you know, and there's these videos on TikTok or Instagram where two couples walk beside each other, or a guy will walk past. I don't know how much of a lot of it's fake now, but the guy will look at the girl and the girlfriend will be like, well, what's that? It's like, well, I'm not going home with her.
Dude, I double take all the time. Are you kidding? Girls and guys, I walk past anyone attractive, I'm like, fuck, they're a good
Usually
looking
for me,
person.
it's like physiques, not so much faces. And I think people who have great eyes, and like I'll get a compliment from someone at a cafe and I'll give them a compliment back. Like, I'm okay with that. But it's usually for me, like as a trainer mindset. I used to do bodybuilding. I was like, just stopped doing bodybuilding when I kind of met you. It was like shifting away from the body dysmorphia around bodybuilding, which we'll talk about. But anyway, I seen you you and your friend, attractive girls, but at the time, 18, you didn't find yourself at all. You just couldn't see that in yourself.
No, not.
The comparison was getting...
Yeah, I think so. And I think a lot of people my age were really like developed, and I, again, still felt like a kid. Like I really...
This is coming back to like not having developed breasts today.
Yeah.
Which is pretty crazy because like the girls with big breasts wish they had low body fat, like a better physique. Like you've got a really trim physique. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I just,
we always look at things.
You're never going to be happy. Like you always want what you don't have. But yeah, like I was so insecure. Like I had like an eating disorder growing up because I was never happy. I never felt fulfilled, and I never felt attractive.
Yeah.
And I think and I was like slightly overweight growing up, and then I was bulimic for about, and like I still have like moments now that I struggle, but like for like the following like 7 years. And
at what age did it start when you like started watching, like seeing pictures of like Victoria's Secret models at 13 or 12 or...
Like 12.
Yeah.
Which is wild to me,
and
because I look at 12-year-olds now and I'm like, that's
But there's 13-year-olds on TikTok that are like doing dances in front of the videos, and like I'll literally look at it and be like, I don't want to bring a daughter into this world. I'm so scared. Like,
it's
because
so scary.
One, she's so unattractive or so far out of social media that she'll fall behind in, like, she'll have to just work at a normal job, or maybe she'll be career driven or whatever. Or two, she'll be slightly attractive and fit like her parents, like Alicia and I, but then she will fall into being like, why would I work at Woolworths when I could build a social media empire through my looks? And then it's stuck to her looks, and there's always comparison.
Yeah. But how? And like, this is what's always blown me away, because my mum's like, I wish I did better. And I'm like, no, because like I've been through it and I couldn't even tell you what I would do differently. Like, how do you protect someone from stuff like that? Because you can't. It's so out of your control.
Yeah.
Like, you can raise someone to like have the right values and shit, but like, at the end of the day, like, it's the people who they're around all the time, and you can't control who they go to school with and who, like...
Even if you're around the most supportive friends, even if both your parents or one parent or whatever it is were like the most amazing parents, they followed a guide, they were a therapist, you're going to jump on social media, or you're going to open the TV and Pamela Anderson on Baywatch when you're younger.
Dude, it's
the most
toxic.
Genetically gifted girl in the world.
Yeah.
Already had great boobs. Then the first time she did a Playboy shoot, because I just recently watched a documentary with Alicia, she gets bigger, rounder boobs and the craziest body, and that's the girl everyone's idolizing for the generation that was slightly older than me.
Yeah.
And that was before social media, that was on TV. And then you see even on Home and Away, Neighbours, I don't watch any of that, but obviously they're choosing the girls in the beach scenes and the guys to have like a tattoo and muscles. And you look at young boys, they buy toys, and He-Man, or the muscly dudes with the small waist, Barbie has the tiny waist.
It's like crazy.
I definitely think that your environment is a huge effect on how you develop in that way. But I believe that, like, even if you have perfect parents, and like no one can, in hindsight, you can't go back and change that. So it's really hard. I want to dig a little bit deeper into the subject, because you wouldn't be surprised because you've been through it, but people are always so surprised when I mention, no names or anything, but how many people sign up to my coaching that open up to me straight away. They write the word ED, and the first time I heard it, I thought they said erectile dysfunction.
You're like, the fuck?
This girl was like, girls say it like it's just a common thing.
Yeah.
It's like them saying, hey, I've got curly hair, I've got ED and I do this. And at first I was like, erectile dysfunction. And then I was like, oh, eating disorder.
Yeah.
And they say it like it's a new slang that's very normal going around at schools and everything. And then I realized, like, I looked at the numbers, and I've done a post about this. There's like 1 in 3 girls that have actually spoke up about some type of eating disorder or trauma around food or bad relationship with food under the age of 25 right now. And it's like, those percentages are crazy. So if I'm hanging out with, when we walk through the plaza, we see 30 people. Yeah. 10 of those are absolutely like dealing with that problem. And I reckon that the other half were just not telling anyone.
Dude, it's 100% more. Like, it is absurdly common. Like, I actually don't think I could name a girl that doesn't have like some form of disordered eating.
Yeah.
And not necessarily like
There's
anorexic or bulimic.
extremities,
Yeah. But like something along those lines.
So like, what age did it start? What were some of the things that, you obviously can't remember all the details, but what were some of the things that could have triggered you?
Do you know what? I just gone from being in primary school to like, I was probably in about year 4. Like, I just changed schools. So I was
New
like,
schools is always hard, eh?
yeah, I was about like 11 and I moved schools and I was with this, it was like term 4 of year 4 and this guy started at the same time as me and he was a big dude. Like, he was a really big guy. And everyone was like, oh, like brother and sister? Like, you guys brother and sister? And I was like...
Oh, because he was a bigger guy.
Yeah. And I was like, oh no, like we're not related. And then like there were constantly like growing up comments about like...
Young kids are so brutal.
They're brutal. They're
That's
crazy.
why TikTok's so brutal, because when I was younger, I would get comments from my friend's little brother or sister, especially like a little sister, and be like, why are your feet so big and your ankles so skinny? Like literally little things like that, which stay with me for years. Because I had like big feet, skinny ankles.
Dude,
like,
people tell me I have, like growing up, people call me Cankle Keenan and like proper.
Oh shit, there's like a nickname to it.
Yeah. And it's like, it's stuck with me forever. Like, I did not wear high socks until I was about 20. Because I was like, it makes my legs look bigger.
So these traumas start from just a little thing like that. Like that was the first trigger.
Yeah.
And it was like, the kids at school thought I was related to the big guy.
Yeah, and then like little things like...
And they were making jokes about it over and over again.
Yeah. This one kid was like, I bet you've never seen a treadmill in your life. And like...
They come up with crazy shit at that age.
Yeah, I'm like, how do you even think of that? Like, seriously.
He's copying someone who said that's older than him.
Yeah.
A lot of these people have parents or big brother or older friends that are saying really disgusting things around them.
Literally, I was at the airport the other day and this lady was like, oh, where's the line? Because we're waiting in a cafe and this lady was like, oh, where's the line start? And this other lady goes, oh, it's right behind that fat chick down the end. And I was like,
holy
bro,
shit,
like,
you can't say that.
You cannot say that. And like what in your head thinks that's okay?
Was he just a young fucking...
No, it was literally 2 ladies. Like, there was one older lady and the lady that said it was probably about 30.
Another lady who said it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's disappointing.
Yeah, dude, I
meant
couldn't
to support
believe
the
it.
other girls.
Right?
God.
And I was like...
She probably wouldn't have said it if it was a bigger guy. It's like she was liberated by saying like, I'm a female.
Yeah.
It's like a black person picking another black person. One's a rich person and one's in poverty. It's like, you're meant to be supporting each other. Like.
Yeah, it makes no sense. And yeah, so back to it, I was like going through like little things like that I was really struggling to deal with, that like in the face of it, I just laugh it off because like I was a funny fat kid and it was chill.
You build up a thick skin.
Yeah. And so like it was whatever, but like I'd come home and I'd be like pretty upset about it, and I was watching this show. There used to be this show on. It was called Super Size versus Super Skinny. And it was like they would do like a meal swap kind of thing, and yeah, the really skinny chick on it was like bulimic, and I was like, oh yeah, okay,
like she can do it.
And I'm not even kidding, I just like researched it and I was like, gone, okay, this
works.
Yeah, this is how I'm gonna do it. And
so the internet and the TV literally influenced.
Yeah.
Because if you were, and I sound old saying this, but when I was in primary school, there was no mobile phones yet. It was like blocky old Nokias that were this big.
Yeah.
High school, there just started to be like phones. And I'm not that old. I just grew up in a country town, and we didn't have much money. We were pretty poor, so like we didn't really have much access anyway. But we didn't have access to like young boys and porn, a big problem. They're always figuring out ways to get on it at stupid young ages. And then young girls and being able to figure out like what sexual things are, and like education's fine, but at the wrong age, and getting educated by what, some video or like what you watch, it's like that's the worst timing for you right then.
Yeah, like horror. Like it's crazy that people have access to that all the time. Like
that show was on because it's viral on TV at that time.
Yeah, and people live for that shit. Like people love that. They love extreme. Like
extreme is what do you think social media grows?
Yeah.
Every angle, everything's extreme. Do you think there would have been like, let's just say that was an American TV show. Was it Australian or American? Probably American or
I
something.
think it was like a British one.
Oh, like British. There's probably like a few million people that watch that. There's probably like 5,000 girls that got eating disorder at the same time as you right then. That
Yeah.
reflected and said, oh, the skinny girl looks more attractive.
Yeah.
And she's getting away with eating more and
Yeah.
like...
And she can have the best of both worlds, and that's...
It really looks like that, eh?
Yeah. And then like, it fucked up my life for a really long time. Like, I couldn't do things other people did. Like, I couldn't have relationships and like friendships.
Because people would see certain things
and like, fuck, someone would like ask me to go out for brekkie and I'd say no because it just made me really uncomfortable.
Yeah, you're like, I don't want to...
Yeah, and people like have no idea. Like, you have no social life and you're a shell of yourself. Like, it makes you a really, really sad, hollow human being.
And the whole time this is happening, you're still checking your body in the mirror after every shower and everything going, is it working?
Yeah.
Because maybe you didn't enjoy doing it. You might have felt a lot of shame involved in it.
Yeah, massive amount of shame.
Yeah.
But it's crazy the way you like start to rely on something. Like, it became a real massive like stress relief
It's like
for me.
coping.
Yeah,
they call
yeah,
it coping.
for sure.
I've been reading and like getting into psychology a lot. And I haven't studied it or anything, and I'm not giving anyone any advice,
Yeah.
but like I've learnt a lot from this really good book writer. I can't even remember his name. He's got a weird ass last name, but he's a Melbourne-based guy. He's got two books, and a lot of people have been reading it that I've seen on their story. And in his first book, one of the paragraphs, I was reading it on the plane between when I was traveling in Bali and Thailand, and it made me realise so much. One of the first books, he explained that he had a really awesome, two hardworking, successful parents based in Melbourne, a little sister, himself. He played cricket and sport. Everyone was a happy family. Every time they sat at the table, they would always have really good conversations. Everyone would eat all the food. They had good Aussie home-cooked meals.
Yeah.
Happy family. And then one day, out of nowhere, his little sister just didn't want to eat the food on the dinner table. And at first they were like, oh, she's not well. That's right. We'll let her go to her room or whatever. Second night, oh, that's weird. You need to eat. You didn't have dinner last night. No, I'm okay. I'm not hungry. Third night, fourth night, okay. Now the parents are stressed. It went from being a really awesome, like dinner for them was a highlight of their day. Everyone spoke at what they did at school and whatnot, the parents, what they did at work.
Yeah.
And that highlight turned into a real shamey, suffering moment. And the relationship of the family really went dark and down.
Yeah.
And he didn't know, he was a young boy, he didn't know that his sister was dealing with something. In his mind, because he's a young boy playing sport, he's like, we eat food, we burn food, like, he did just thought that she was purposely sabotaging the family's like happiness.
Yeah.
So he started getting upset, and he ended up spending less time. This happened for years too. Like she just stopped eating, and she was in and out of hospital, had to have a tube down her throat and be like hooked up to IV. And he was blaming the separation of their family on her, and he didn't know how to, like, he wasn't even thinking about supporting her because he's just like, why wouldn't you just eat? And he would yell at her sometimes and be like, why don't you just eat? And then as he became an adult, he had so much guilt because he realized that it's an actual problem. She doesn't want to do that. She's obviously going through an eating disorder, some coping mechanism. And then later down in the book, the craziest thing, later down in the book, he said that eventually his sister, in and out of like hospital, eating disorder, all the way until she was like 21, she finally broke out of her eating disorder and got to a mostly healthy place like yourself, like pretty intelligent. She went over to America, she became quite successful in whatever she studied. And then one day she called the family and said, I have to talk to you. And she came back and told them, I had a nightmare or a dream, and it was a real dream of when I was younger. I was molested by the old man behind the house when I was like 4 or 5 years old or whatever. And that's what triggered my eating disorder. And the brother and the parents, and I get like real emotional just hearing it, because when I was reading that book, I was like, I didn't know how to understand a lot of these problems. And this is just eating disorder. Other people that have coping mechanisms, like I have coping mechanisms where like when work gets really stressful and shit, I'm like trying to escape it, where I'll go and like surf for hours, and then I'll work myself into the ground and train hard and surf until I did my bicep tendon in my arm where I snapped it. And it's like, oh, my coping mechanism was adrenaline to get away from the stress.
Yeah.
And in this book, it blew me away. I was like, no one can try to tell someone who has an eating disorder or an addiction. Like, I've got a mate when he was younger, addicted to gambling, and he would use his whole paycheck on the way back he'd do a whole week of work and use his paycheck. And who knows what the stress on him from, managing a business or whatever is. And I think that's something that we have to start educating younger girls on and people on.
Yeah.
It's like, maybe instead of us saying just eat or stop being bulimic or stop comparing yourself, it's like, okay, maybe we need to get love from a different place.
Yeah. Teach people coping mechanisms, healthy, like usable coping mechanisms, because that's like what so much of it is. And that's like anytime now that I have an issue with it, or like I find myself like falling into old habits, it's actually got nothing to do with food. It's got nothing to do with body image. It's all to do with like other stresses in my life.
Dealing with the shit.
Yeah, because like how else do you deal with shit? Like, and that's one thing that I like was talking to my psychologist about. And it's like, she's like, and what do you do when you're stressed? And I'm like, I don't fucking know. I actually don't know.
Just
like,
bury that shit deeper.
Yeah, like
everyone just push it down.
Yeah, I'm like, I go to the gym, and she's like, yeah, well, that's good, but like, do you go to the gym because like? And I couldn't tell her why I did anything I did, like, and it all just came back to the same place. Like, I just didn't know how to cope with those feelings, and a lot of people don't. And it's like massive for guys. Guys really, really struggle. And I told my boyfriend the other day, because he's been having a really hard time, and he's like, I don't feel like I have a massive purpose at the moment.
A lot of men struggle with that.
Yeah, and he's like, growing up, like he's had a pretty good life. He's had really loving parents, like a really good family life, and everyone has their own shit going on for sure, but like he's never in his life had to deal with negative emotions like this, like he's dealing with right now, and he doesn't know how to do it. And I'm like,
feeling.
Yeah, I'm like, mate, you need to go talk to somebody, you need to go. And he's like, no, but that's not the problem, because like no one else can fix my problems. Like I know what I need to do.
Sounds like me.
Yeah. And I'm like, mate,
I'll just bury that shit.
Right.
And I'll be off, and Alicia will be like, are you okay? And I have a problem when like, if I'm really stressed and I'm working hard, I'll just try to double down and do more work. But that work's like low quality work. Like I'm just like on my phone replying back, and I'm like, I need to be at the front line creating good content and speaking to my clients on the back end instead of just on the front end trying to do everything like I'm a fucking war soldier.
Yeah.
And it's coping, like knowing like, okay, I'm losing the passion, or I'm overworking and I'm losing the vision for the purpose. And it's okay to like tell someone that you're not okay, which is so hard for a man. Like,
and that's what I could not wrap my head around it, because his friend's like, you're not going to be able to convince him to do anything. And I'm like, okay, but like what I'm trying to tell him is that like I don't expect him to go to a psychologist and for like this person to like solve his issues and whatever, but he needs to learn skills to deal with things, because he doesn't know how to deal with it.
People will go to university or soccer practice to get better at juggling a ball, or getting better at learning how, like a business course. You will pay someone to do a business course and teach you how to run a business, but you won't pay someone to speak about like your life problems. Yeah. And it's nice, like the most successful friend I have, he's so successful, and you wouldn't know, he never shows, he doesn't have nice watches, doesn't do anything like that. But like fucking his house and like his family are just well off, and he gets to make the choices and travel when he wants to. Yeah. He sees a therapist psychologist like every 3 months, and he said it's the best thing he's ever done. He's been doing it for like 5 or 6 years. Yeah. It's made him a better father, a better husband, a better friend, and like he'll use some of what he's learnt with the psychologist to talk to me and help me and stuff. And I'm like, this is amazing to have someone that you literally are allowed to pour everything out, and you don't have to deal with their problems. They're there to actually absorb all your shit. It's just like crazy. People have this preconceived idea though that you literally just go there and you like sit there and you tell them your problems and they'll tell you how to fix it. It's like the fucking American movies. And like you cry and whatever. But like honestly, it gives you the best life skills. Like and you just learn how to fucking deal with things and pick up on things and work out the person that you are, because no one has any fucking idea. Like you actually don't. And it's just like it completely changed my life. Like I think everyone should see a therapist. You're probably so confident and so straightforward with it to your boyfriend or people around you is because you've been through the darkness. Yeah. And you've seen the light. And the darkness creeps in a little bit, but you got to keep the light strong. And you learnt tools from therapists, psychologists to help you with that. And if you're on your own, it can seem so dark.
Yeah.
Like it can seem like you're never gonna recover from what you're going on. And it's always the people that seem like they're in the best life.
Yeah.
Like even when your physique has got a lot better and you're having success with your social media, which I'd love to talk about because I love that. Just seeing you 3 years ago and then seeing you now, like your whole personality is more confident as well.
Yeah.
I know you were very like withdrawn when we met.
Completely different person.
Yeah,
it's
you're
crazy.
not confident in like speaking. You're probably intimidated by myself and someone else and my friend. So we'll get to that. But like, what advice would you have for 18-year-old you?
That's tough. Do you know what? It's crazy because I think I'm actually really, like there are so many similarities. I'm just okay now with being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like all the time, like I go into situations and I'm like, I get so anxious. Like I get so anxious and like socially in lots of different like aspects. And I go into situations and I just like...
Just let yourself feel what you're feeling.
Yeah, it's fine. Driving here today, I was fucking nervous. I was like...
You're going to do this podcast?
Yeah, I was shitting myself. And I was like, do you know what?
You seem so confident though.
Yeah, but no. I knocked on the door. I was like, fucking no, you're like coming. I was like, fuck, could turn around. But like you just got to do it and it gets more comfortable. Like, and especially in the last like year or so, like I've just put myself in situations that like are a little bit uncomfortable and you learn to like get used to it and like enjoying your own company. Huge.
That's huge. I love that. I could talk about that all day. Like
same, yeah.
I've been through mild mental health problems for most of my life.
Yeah.
Just like imposter syndrome. Like I got really popular on Instagram when I was younger doing like bodybuilding and taking selfies and like I was probably at a similar place to where you are now with your Instagram and everything. I had an Instagram that got to 350k when I was like 23, 24, and I was going to America and shooting with the best modeling photographers like in the world, like famous ones that like Steve Cook and like all these top guys were shooting with. I still had imposter syndrome. So it was like trying to show up, putting this mask on that I'm like the man on the social media, but then I'd have this imposter syndrome. And you know what? The best thing I ever did was just like kept putting myself in uncomfortable situations. Public speaking, I did some public speaking. And
which is gross. I hate that shit. Like I hate it. But like you just got to do it. And it's so crazy to me. Like 90% of people don't know how to be alone, like really alone. And like there's one thing like pushing yourself to like be alone, and like when you get to the point where you can enjoy your own company and you want to do things by yourself and you're like, that's
a cheat code, eh?
You're like, sweet, like I'll go like take myself to the beach and like park up and actually enjoy it. You're not sitting there like, fuck, I've been here for 20 minutes now, I can probably leave soon.
Better put up something on social media so it looks like I'm having a good time.
Yeah, dude. And that's one thing that I really fell into was like, anytime I did something by myself, I wanted everyone to know. Like I was like,
we all do that, eh?
Yeah, you're like, wow, I'm so cool, I'm so grown, like I'm doing my own shit, like go me. But like,
and I think that's still good because you're still alone.
There's
a lot of people that won't even be alone.
Do you know what? I think it actually like helped me get really comfortable like with it.
Documenting it like it's important. It's like you're proud.
Yeah, it's the same thing. You just persist. It's like you
it's like those guys that go out in the country and camp, or there's a guy on YouTube who's like very, very famous. He's got full ADD, so I relate to him, but he's like crazy. And he hated his job or whatever, so he just started getting a GoPro and going out and just living on the land. Goes on these boats. He's sponsored and rich now. Well, not rich, but successful.
Yeah.
But like he's always documenting everything, and I think that because it helped him, it coped with him being alone. So you're not alone if you're having a little document of what you're doing.
It changes everything. And that's so funny you say. I was talking to someone today about having ADD. I was like, I'm convinced, because like my brain just goes a million miles an hour. Like I'm thinking of one thing and we'll be having a conversation, and then I like you say something, triggers something else, and I'm like, I got to come back to that. And so then I'll lose what I'm saying, and
it's
I'm like,
fatiguing.
it's crazy,
It's really fatiguing.
I'm like,
you got to be super careful.
Yeah.
I've dealt with it really well, and some people in my clients will actually get surprised when I say it, and then some people who have it like debilitating ADHD, they like to call it ADHD now, and there's all these different references, and I'm not going to go into the work sayings, but you know what I mean, ADD. People that have a debilitating version where it's like very, very harsh, they'll sometimes look at me when I say it, and they'll be like, "Oh, you sure?" And I'm like, "Man, the teachers at school, every report card, just read your report card. It's like highly distractible."
And there's one thing you do that like helps. You always say, you'll be like, and I'll bring it back to this, and I'm like, yeah, we did just go and talk about something else for 10 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. Some of the best podcasters, but like, I always say to people, like, you get better as you get older.
Yeah.
Some people don't get better.
Yeah.
Or you figure out that some people get adult ADHD, which isn't shown by like fast speaking energy interruptions or like that. One of my friends, he actually said that he was diagnosed with adult ADHD, and I was like, "Oh, make sure they don't put you on anything, because there's ways that like you can work around it." I was never got put on anything when I was younger. My mum's a naturopath, herbalist, NLP coach. Fuck, she just does it all. Like she's like my hero.
Yeah.
And she just said to me, "How about we look at like putting better food into you and see how you react?" So we realised that if I had certain artificial sweeteners and colours, mostly colours, certain colours that are in sugars and whatnot, that it would trigger more of that ADHD. And then we also noticed that like sugars and like if I would do extra PE classes, and I did a little bit of gymnastics and a little bit of sports and stuff, and I played soccer. And if I got out and I did something that I was passionate about and moved my body, I was very calm after for a few hours.
Yeah.
So we figured out a way to deal with it naturally. And I'm not saying everyone can. And people who get adult ADD, sometimes it's more not so much that they're fast talking, not so much that, but they'll be very impulsive. And one of my friends said that he got diagnosed after he was very impulsive. Like he'd be like, yeah, so I'm not going to go out this weekend, you know, I'm getting to like 26, 27, I'm going to save up for the house or whatever it is. And then one text, Friday, 3 p.m, got to get a bag. You want to come? We're going to go out in a boat or whatever. And boom, just I'm in. Like, because that impulsive adrenaline searching, and that is also a part of the condition. And there's different outside the spectrums and whatnot. But I also did some youth work with young troubled teens, with young boys, because I was a young troubled teen. You know, I got arrested and I drank underage and I did heaps of bad shit. I was like, when I first met Alicia, I was selling weed and working illegally as a trainer. Like I was in a country town. The people who worked at the gym weren't like certified personal trainers. It was the guy who owned the gym and their friends or whatever. Whoever could know how to do like a bicep curl or whatever.
You're in Hawaii.
Yeah, like, and the owner of the gym was just like, "Yeah, mate, show us how to do this. Sweet, you're good." And the chick who was the group fitness instructor was whoever was like the skinniest onesie fit girl that could do this for hours. It was funny as like those times were funny. So I was doing like a bit of PT cashies. I did boxing and MMA back then. Not very good at it, not trying to say that, but I did a bit of it and I could teach people quite well. And I was selling weed on the side because I'd be like, it's natural, man. Like, it's not illegal. Like, it is. And I met Alicia and I was like, I've got to get my life sorted out. Because she was working full time and she was like sometimes helping. If she wanted to go to the movies, I'd be like, oh, I don't really have much money. She would pay for me. And I look back at that now and people sometimes comment on like Instagram or TikTok and be like, oh, they'll see me in my car or they'll see the house or whatever and they'll think that Alicia's like with me for like success or whatever. And I'm like, man, she supported me at the start. She was my sugar mama. You know what I mean? I'll do anything for her. But going back, like I'm excited to now speak not just about like what you went through when you're younger or whatever, but you've actually had some success and you've created this life and this freedom. Like you just got back from WA. What did you do over there?
Went and visited my friend actually. She just moved and she's a legend, but she's having a hard time. She moved with her boyfriend who's fly in, fly out.
FIFO, and
really,
it's harder than it looks.
And so every second week she's a bit flat and he actually messaged me and was like, you should come over and see.
That's cool. That he recognised that.
He's a really good dude.
She needs to learn to be really confident on her own.
And like that's, I'm like, throw you in the deep end, it'll be so good for you. It will be so good for you, but it's so tough to come to terms with. And like she's lived here for ages and all her mates are here and it was really good to see her, but it is the first time in my life that I've ever had financial freedom. And it's crazy. And like,
It gives you confidence, eh?
Yeah, yeah.
Choices.
For sure. And like to be able to do things and know I can get myself out of situations is just really fucking nice. Like so it just opens up so much. Even like I've been struggling, like I've struggled my whole life with like gut issues and like hormonal issues. Yeah. And especially because like I grew up with an eating disorder. Like I just...
That would have stuffed it up a little bit.
Yeah, and my body's just always been really like out of whack with stuff like that. I've been able to afford to go see a naturopath because it's so crazy that that's not covered like at all, which blows me away that you can go see a doctor who does nothing. It's like, I just think a doctor's such a band-aid.
Here's more tablets that will fuck your stomach. Or let me refer you on until we refer you so much that you're so fatigued from referring.
You just get over it. And it's because I went to the naturopath and I was like, yeah, so like, these are my problems. I want to fix this, this and this. And she's like, okay, so wait, you're on antidepressants and you have gut issues and no one's ever made a link for you there?
That
and I was
your
like,
biome is getting wrecked?
Yeah, and I was like, no, never.
Yeah.
And she was like, yeah, okay. Yeah, and so we just like...
First day.
Yeah, took it back to square one, and it was fucking so nice to have someone that actually listened to me, like, and listened to what I said, like, heard my feedback, called me, like, on a Wednesday morning at 7:45 because I started coming off my antidepressants and she wanted to make sure I was okay, like, off the record. Yeah. Like, just a really good human.
And what sucks, luckily, liberating that you have the money to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Because what I was going to say to that is... naturopaths aren't cheap because they get no government support.
Yeah.
Like you don't get when you go see a doctor, there's like a Medibank or like if you have private health or whatever, but naturopaths like, nah. So they've got to have prices
out of pocket
pretty high. And because they put their heart and soul, a good naturopath puts their energy into you. And you can, the way you're speaking, it's like this naturopath's like really helped you. Yeah.
And she's like the best investment I've ever made. And, but literally, when I walked in there, the first time I was like lining up behind this lady that was going to pay for her kid. She was taking her kid to the naturopath and they were like, oh, that's $1,200 for today. And she was like, oh shit, like, do you think I can take one of the supplements out? And I'm like, that's so crazy to me that like you can't, like, but it is so expensive. It's absurdly expensive. And the lady at the front desk felt bad and she felt bad.
We all know it's bullshit.
Bad. Yeah, it's crazy.
We all know that the government want for you to buy antidepressants, Panadol, fake ass shit that's meant to help you with your gut. Like when someone's getting older and they have blood pressure problems, the doctor will never ask you about your diet. It's like, here's a little script. You can keep smoking and having your food because this will like lower your blood pressure, but then it'll kill something else in your body, like one of your organs, or give you.
And then we'll get you to do something else for that. And that's like, my mum's a pharmacist, and she like. I was at my wit's end and she's like, you need to go see someone else. Like you need to go do something else. And like it goes against what she believes in, but she was like, I can't help you anymore. Like the more I fix, the more other stuff gets worse.
End of the day, when the English people came over to Australia and found the Aboriginals and they had, you see old photos of some of the old cultures and they had well-developed glutes, good legs, abs showing. The women weren't shredded like the men, but they were in good shape. Otherwise, they were carrying a baby or holding it like they were pregnant. And it was healthy, you know what I mean? And they're living on the land. The more we've added in, the more we've fucked ourselves. And we need to, there's a massive shift right now back to people are going carnivore and the answer's like, vegan, this and that. It's like the answer really is like remove more shit from what you're doing. Like, and then we try to eat clean water, like drink clean water, and there's fucking fluoride and like we were talking about it earlier. We've got I've got the Montfield mist here, and you're like talking about how like you've learned about like what's in our waters and everything. And it's like you can't win. But what you can do is in your control is just to consume less of the things that have lots of ingredients. Stop. Obviously, you've got to make a slow change when you're changing medication because you become reliant on it, and it's important for some people. You need to make that change slowly, but just try to have less prescriptions and less additives and less shit in your system. Like,
just keep it simple. Like honestly, it gets so complicated, and like there's so much misinformation. Like there really is.
Let me check that we're still rolling, and then let's go back because I've got some other questions that I'm really excited about. I don't need to flip it. We're still rolling. Awesome. What we got? We're doing really good, killing it.
Okay, go on.
I had a notepad over there and I was like putting questions in it, and then I was like, I'm not going to carry a notepad, like hold a notepad while I talk to you. I love speaking about your journey into financial freedom and the liberation through that.
Yeah.
And I also want to know, because I remember seeing your social media like a year ago or a few months ago, you popped up in my explore page.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I met that girl at the beach. And I'm like, this photo's got so many likes. And I'm not trying to idolize like a lot of likes, but it led to financial freedom for you.
Yeah.
And it also led to some self-confidence through financial freedom, and by being like, I'm not that girl in grade 4 that was called like chubby or whatever anymore. Like I'm an attractive young lady and I'm confident in what I do.
Yeah.
And this is motivating me to be healthier. And I've dealt with problems and eating disorders and I've got through it most of the way.
Yeah.
How did you figure out, like, how did you start posting this content? Because like, you're very similar to me when I was younger. Like my best content was just like beach stuff.
Yeah.
I love the beach, like nature stuff, and that'll always
Dude,
be...
I feel weird when I like go to get photos in clothes. Like, and not even be like in a sexual way. Like I'm comfortable at the beach. I'm comfortable in bikini. Like I know it looks good.
That's when you feel your best.
Yeah.
It's natural. Clothes are actually not natural, and I'm not telling everyone to get naked. I'm not trying to be like a weird guy that's like, yeah, take your clothes off. What I'm saying is like again, back to the Aboriginals or the Indigenous people or whatever, like we didn't wear a lot of shit.
Yeah.
Clothes are actually not natural. So it's probably liberating, and it's probably like a free feeling, like the hippie vibe, which I love. To be, you know, when I'm out surfing just in a pair of board shorts and I'm paddling around and I walk up the beach, it's like all the negative, I think it's called negative ions, come through the ground.
Yeah.
And it's actually been proven now, so I'm not like a woo-woo person.
Yeah.
And when every time you got your feet...
I used to say that shit to people all the time. I was like, oh, the beach is so good, eh? Like those negative ions, and everyone's like, fuck is
Come on, Steph.
And I'm like, it's a thing. Like you go, and it makes you feel so good.
Thank fuck for podcasts, and all these cool guys have been on Joe Rogan and shit, because they're like, no, we did this test and we actually tested, and you can feel it. Like you go into an airport and it's just shit energy, the Wi-Fi signals, too many people, everyone's clothed, you're walking on concrete with shoes on.
Gross.
At the end of an airport trip, I'm just like, I need to get in the fucking ocean, eh? Like, I've got to get out of here and just like go for it. I need to sweat. I need to get uncomfortable.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, for sure.
So I'm excited. Like, where did you, when did the penny drop where you're like, shit, like I can grow a following from like posting the stuff that I love to do?
Yeah, well, I actually just got really lucky, and I think
that's not true.
This is the thing, that's what I'm saying. Like you put in all this work and like good things happen, and people sit there and they'll be like, oh, she's so lucky. And but yeah, like I was posting 5 times a fucking week before that and seeing no reward, and it was so frustrating, man. And I just had to be super persistent, like just naturally.
I had a stalk, and I can see the progress. I'm going to start teaching people how to grow their social media, probably mostly focusing on personal trainers, because I built a page from 0 followers to 10,000 followers with a 6-figure income, which is silly. People think you need to have like 100,000 followers. Now you do if you're not in a niche, but with my niche, it's very focused. But like, I like to study and look and go, oh, this is when the penny dropped. But the penny dropped actually a bit before that. That's just where the big numbers seen. But it's when I start seeing you in the explore page. Yeah. And I start seeing you going, okay, this is my niche. Yeah. People who don't live on the sunny coast, Point Cartwright is like this cool place that I like to go to. You like to go to, like a sick place for photos, and it's just a good vibe. There's good energy there. It's like a bush on the beach. It's very rare, but like, you know, Kawana, like the beachy areas where you take your photos, they're unique, and you've got an energy about you in your pics where you truly look happy. Yeah, yeah, and I think like leading up, like I probably only got to 10,000 followers last year. Like that's crazy. Yeah, yeah. And because you were posting consistent for ages. Yeah, for ages, like 3 to 4 times a week for almost since I was like 19. Like I was really, really consistent. And then so my friend Charlie that I went and saw in Perth, she actually lived with me, and she was like,
I guess like she was almost an influencer before it was even like a real thing.
I think I know of Charlie.
Yeah. And she had like 25K, and I was in school and she was like a few years older than me. And
So it was like a kind of someone to look up to in a
and I was
way,
like,
or someone
wow.
to give you a little bit of advice.
Yeah.
Like the vision's there.
Yeah, and I was like, that is like so cool. Like I really like that she does that, and she was earning money off it, and I just thought it was like, I thought it was really awesome, but I never thought that was like a possibility for me.
You didn't have the belief in yourself.
Yeah.
So the penny dropped when you had a bit more confidence in not just what you look like, because a lot of people think that it's the girls that look really good that grow. And yeah, some of them, but you got to put the effort into posting, and you're not going to always be happy. And there's going to be some days where your Instagram decides just to literally tell you one day, like, oh, your photo's going to do shit this week. And then you're going to be in your room going, am I not as good? Like, I'm not growing or whatever.
Yeah.
But the people that push through that, consistency always pays off.
Always. And it's like, yeah, I was putting in a lot of work to it, and I wasn't seeing a whole lot of reward, and I was getting frustrated, and I almost like, I got to this point where it would like really control my mood. Like I was feeling really flat.
Yeah.
And it's so hard as a girl too. Like things like your period come up and you're like, fuck, like I still need to go out and get a photo. Like I still need to post a photo every second day, and I still need to do this. And it sucks. It like at the time like would make me feel shit about myself. But like the more I just persisted, the more I was like, this is just the reality. I need to do it. Like, and you look at it from like a business perspective, and you're like, I need to do it. Like
detach the analyzing of your visuals, thinking that like, oh, I didn't look as good today because I didn't get as many likes. No, numbers game.
Yeah.
Like a really good guy at a bar that just keeps asking for numbers and keeps going back until he finds a pretty girl that wants to go on a date with him.
Exactly. And I had one photo that, got on the Explore page and did really well and reached like 17 million people or something.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, which is crazy because Instagram's like, that's not like a massive Instagram thing anymore, unless you're like, and that's the thing, there are like tips and tricks to like do well on social media, like Instagram using Reels, which is crazy because like I can't wrap my head around Reels because I've only seen TikTok, so.
You've got to just keep to your niche.
Yeah.
And there was a few months, because I look at all this stuff because it's part of my business. There was a few months where Instagram actually they modified their algorithm to mostly push Reels to allow them to get some of the people from TikTok to come back over because they were losing shares. Like the company was losing numbers. People were spending less time on screen on Instagram because the only reason they were spending less time on screen is because they were on screen on TikTok.
Yeah.
So Instagram's like, okay, let's use the same strategy.
So we can compete.
They took Snapchat stories from them years ago. Like Instagram has just kept, and it's Facebook Meta has bought, Instagram years ago. So it's all that. But they did that. But just recently, I'm not sure if you've noticed, but I think your stuff's done good the whole time because you have your niche and your following are used to seeing what you're seeing. But 2-3 months ago, they've actually chilled out on the Reels push.
Yeah.
And they've brought the photos push back up.
Yeah.
Or the swipe posts push back up. So now it's quite even again because all the big photographers and people that were like, hey, wasn't Instagram first brought out to be a photo sharing app? Yeah, we don't mind if you put video in there, but don't unnaturally push our photos down.
Yeah.
Like,
definitely. And
that didn't affect you?
No, not too much. But I think like one thing I've learned is just let it happen naturally. Like don't pay to boost posts. It honestly works against you. Like it's not a good look. I know for a fact ad ever comes up and I'm like swiping right past it.
There's a good place. It's a good time and a place for ads. Mm-hmm. If you're selling a product, people can get to their house, like an actual product they can hold in their hand.
Yeah.
Ads work for that. Also, running ads on TikTok for a company is really smart because it was cheap and you could see a lot of people. Ads
Everyone
on Facebook.
has the ability to use TikTok too. Like it's so like before when you had to pay for someone to like produce an ad for you and like organize all that. Like you can pick up a camera, pick a trending sound, and you're on.
People make good content and get good reach, and then when they plan an ad, they try something different.
Yeah.
Do the same thing that's already working and just add a boost to it. But yeah, for someone in your situation, it's like you have good-looking bikini beach, and then sometimes you'll go in with some collabs for like fashion or whatever, like a little bit of fitness involved in that. You don't really need an ad because it's like as long as people see you, they will spend time on it and they will engage and they will share, and other girls will save and be like, what's that bikini? Or I really like the way you look here. I want to get my photo like that. It looks good like that. You know what I mean? What's your like, do you have like a fair few girls that follow as well?
It's a lot of men.
Yeah, of course, but that's your niche. Like that's how you make the money as well.
Yeah.
My personal account that I used to be big on and like Insta famous when I was 24, I had a lot of gay men.
Yeah.
And I was really shameful when people would try to say it. I'd go to like an event and there'd be like other influencers that had heaps of followers.
Yeah.
And we'd be there eating and we're all mucking around and a guy would like bark up and be like, yeah, but like a lot of your comments are like gay guys. And at first I had a little bit of shame towards it just from many years ago, like a little bit of homophobic or something. I don't know, because like I'm naturally straight. The denial about it because he was like trying to pick on me in front of other influencers. This is like at a Arnold's Expo years ago when it was like the place to be, like hanging out with famous people and whatnot. And then my friend said the funniest thing. He goes, a gay guy usually has more money than like a girl does, or a gay couple is known to have 2 wages, no kids. Rich gay people, you know? Isn't the reason why you're building the social media is because you want to build like income and you want freedom? Who cares who's like subscribing to your OnlyFans or buying your products or supporting your, swimwear calendar or supporting your clothing sponsorship or your supplement sponsorship, as long as there's a real person supporting it. If someone's using your code, they're using your code.
Yeah.
If someone's subscribing to your OnlyFans or your Patreon or your YouTube, there's so many different ways to make money or build the empire. It's like, it's a real human being. And
that's the thing, people are like, do you not get embarrassed like reading those comments? Because people comment some fucking backwards stuff.
That's how you go viral.
Yeah, and I'm like...
What's a funny comment? I didn't see no colours or whatever, like the TikTok one where it's like, I don't know the colour of, don't ask me the colour of anything. It's when there's like a good ass or good body.
Something else to look at and you're not paying attention to.
They've got this young person like language and like all different ages too. Like it's crazy. It's funny when you look at your analytics. I was always really surprised. Like on my old personal account, I don't use it anymore. And like those days are gone. I'm a bit older now. I'm 31. I'm starting to get wrinkles. I'm not the fitness doing tower selfies anymore. I'm a legit coach, and I always was, but it wasn't paying me much. I didn't have any freedom, and I had the dream, just like I can see it in you right now, that you want to be able to go over to Perth once or twice a year, or travel, or take time off whenever you want, and have the freedom to go, I can pay for this over expensive breakfast.
Yeah.
I can buy the bikinis that I want. I can just take the time to sit on the beach for 2 hours and read a book because I have that freedom. And I wanted that growing up without money, growing up with a single mum. We grew up very poor. I had to actually do dumb classes in some of my school because I couldn't afford the textbooks. Like it was crazy. We were like quite poor, but we weren't poor in love. My mum showed me more love than having 2 parents. Like which is crazy. Allowed me to do whatever I want. She's like, oh, you want a drink or whatever? Sweet. Like, do you want me to get it for you? Or if you're going to do it, tell me where you are so I can pick you up. And like, I had a dream of becoming a personal trainer when I was really young, and she supported me. She wrote this poster in my room that says, personal trainer, $70,000 a year. And $70K a year back then, because I was so poor, I was like, I'm going to be making more than what mum makes. I'm going to be I can buy
loaded
as many skateboards and I can buy whatever I want, like Gymshark fucking singlets, whatever. Like I was into shoes because when I first wanted to become a personal trainer, I thought the best personal trainers had the most amount of cool shoes. Yeah. And as we can see here, show the camera how cool your shoes are. Dude, that's almost a fact. Yeah, for sure. I had to put these on when I seen you with those. Yeah, put something nice on. A lot of girls are getting like the white ones that have got like the grey and the white in them. It's like the old school. And for some reason, I know they look good with outfits and I know they're like really popular at the moment, but it's just like, it looks like your granddad's fucking shoe. But with this, it's got the green, it's got the style. Yeah, it's nice, eh? And I get the colour scheme that people go for because it's versatile. You can wear it with anything. Yeah. With the green. You gotta go with the black or whatever. Yeah. But as I was saying, like all I wanted was to like have the vision, and mum supported me in the vision, and she's always supporting me now. Like even when I was younger with my personal page, and when I realised I had all these people, like I had huge engagement, a lot of followers, a lot of people, I got a really good engagement on photos of me, like tower selfies, me in Speedos, board shorts, like very personal selfie stuff did very well, or like cool beach photos, probably similar to you. Yeah. And I was relying on sponsorships. I was sponsored by ACT back in the day before they had female stuff. I was like one of their first Aussie sponsored athlete. I remember getting stuff from Gymshark, working with Jed North, EHP. I was an EHP athlete or whatever.
Yeah.
But then I realised I just get an email from them one day for no reason. Okay, we're not sponsoring you anymore, so we're not going to pay you the $500 a month, whatever.
Yeah.
And I was like, I got fucking 300 and something thousand followers, and I'm relying on $500 a month from this brand that doesn't give a fuck about me.
Yeah.
And that's why I was like, fuck it. I was one of the first guys like that I knew of that did an OnlyFans.
Yeah.
And all I did was put the same photos I was putting on my Instagram on there, and I just pulled back a little bit with what I was actually posting on my Instagram.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't do as many towel selfies or like speedo photos or whatever. I would do like more workout stuff or normal like me holding my surfboard, and then people knew, okay, there's a link in the bio if you want to see more.
Yeah.
And people have their own mind of what you do. Everyone's like, oh my God, you do like a fucking crazy jack off dildo show. It's like, well, I don't mind what anyone does. I'm supportive. It keeps people out of like working for like prostitution or strip clubs or men doing go-go dancing. I had a friend in LA, when he first moved there from Spain, he had to do like a go-go dancing. So he danced in gay clubs or like clubs or whatever. And that's like popular in like the Latin American USA spot. And now he's got like a multi-million dollar empire, drives Lamborghinis, he's got a coaching website, and he's like, I had to do that. There was no other thing to do.
Yeah.
I didn't have the money to be able to afford to live in LA. So what I mean by all that is I did that, and I realized I went from getting a few chip changes from supplement companies and they could cut me off at any time to now I was liberated to a point where I was like, I own my own business now.
Yeah.
And I made like good money.
Yeah.
And I was like, I was confident. I would show my mum what I'd post on my OnlyFans.
Bro, my mum
like, I don't give a like.
is my biggest supporter.
I'm not getting naked, but I'd be in Bali and I'd get a photo of me out on the cliff at Uluwatu with my ass out. You couldn't see anything else, just my ass.
Yeah.
And the gay guys would be like, fuck, that's a massive value from them, because I had big glutes too, because I trained or whatever. And I would say to my friends, I would show you my ass at a party just because I'm drunk, or I would get naked at like, I'm not weird about like showing my ass. Like if I'm going to get paid, that's nothing wrong with that.
One thing that I've always, for starters, like my mum, and single parents, like fucking God bless them. Like they're the best.
The same situation.
Single mum, like
crazy. I always get along with people, and I get along with people that have same parents, but there's a certain grit and thick skin you get from that support where like at your age, you're saying that you and your mum are like...
Yeah, like best mates. And she was, like obviously I was nervous, so I started OnlyFans because it's like...
It's a taboo.
Yeah, exactly. And do you know what is so crazy?
What are people going to think of me?
The way I explain it to people is I'm like, I would be having sex with my boyfriend anyway. I just film it.
Yeah.
Like I literally just, and that is the only difference.
Yeah.
It's like I set up a camera and sell it. So like,
and if
call it what you want. And people are like, oh, that's so slutty. Like, but that's what you're doing as well. Like it's...
except we're just not, like it's funny. It all depends. And the most important thing, and I've had some sex specialists on this podcast for my first episode back after I had a break after a year.
Yeah.
And I've had a girl who's also has an OnlyFans. She's an awesome chick from Brisbane. She used to live on the sunny coast, Rhiannon O'Loughlin.
Yeah, okay.
She's a relationship coach now, does life coaching, business coaching, and she runs a dating night, like an event for people who want to meet. And she's so fucking real. And she used to do a OnlyFans where she would do her workouts in like bikini, like thong or whatever.
Dude, there's a niche for everything out there. It's crazy.
Like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I'm doing it anyway in my normal, like I'm in my garage, I do what I want. And if you're okay with it, and that's what I was saying before, I spoke to the sex specialist because she's a 60-year-old lady who's talking about putting special hormone replacement therapy cream on her clitoris to become more stimulated. And she has an OnlyFans where she wears lingerie and she's 60.
Yeah.
And I said, oh, what advice would you have for girls who want to get an OnlyFans? And the first thing she said was like, go get it. Like she was really positive. And then I was like, oh, I agree on that. But what about girls that are like 17? Yeah. And they don't actually understand what they want to do and they're not sure if they'll regret it or whatever it is. Yeah. And she was like, still supportive, but she was like, when you're 17 turning 18, you're not really adult. Yeah. Like, you can't buy alcohol just yet. And like people try to say that like even men, it doesn't, until they're 25, their brain's not developed. Like I don't even think my brain's developed yet. I'm fucking scatterhead. But she just said like, you regret doing it when you're very young because someone will say, okay, that's good that you want to do this, but I'll give you some person from like Dubai is like, I'll give you 5,000 to do something that you wouldn't want to do, but it's 5,000. And when you're 17, you don't have any money, or 18, sorry. 5,000 is like massive. You can buy the little car that you want, or you can buy all the dresses and the clothes from Poly or whatever the fuck websites are. So what's good is you're at an age now where like you're so confident in yourself with whatever you do on your OnlyFans, you're like, I have no problem with it.
You need to set boundaries for yourself too. Like that's one thing I learned going in is that people will ask for some fucked up stuff.
They'll always ask for more than what you're comfortable with.
Yeah, and it's not like nothing against anyone. There's actually no harm in asking. Feel free, whatever it is that gets you going is sweet. But like people will ask for some wacky shit, and if you're not happy, no amount of money. It's like my partner and I would never have a threesome. Like it's literally just him and I. Like that's it.
Yeah, it's like those ones on Pornhub that are like, I actually like. Let's be honest. If any man decides to say that he hasn't watched porn the last year or whatever, it's like good for him. But 99% of people men will jump on Pornhub here and there. Yeah, and I have to be honest. Like here and there, it's like,
dude, sex sells. Like,
it sells or whatever. And I took a break from watching any of that stuff, and then I got back on and I realized that everything is different. Some of the top pages are now like just couples, intimate couples. Yeah. And I'm like, that is so awesome. Yeah. And I actually enjoy watching them because it's not this girl going, fake with all the camera crew.
Dude, and that's like one thing, speak to 90% of chicks about it. Any chick I've talked to, like we all watch girl on girl because it's so less like objectifying. Yeah. Like watching boy-girl porn can be fucking brutal. Well, like it's not nice.
Especially if it's just boy-girl filmed by the director who's a male who is for the male audience.
Yeah, literally. Like and she's getting thrown around and you're like, that's not how it is. It's not how anyone likes it. She's not enjoying that.
Just like, that fake moaning and shit. It's like,
and that's why like 90% like of chicks I talk to will sit there and be like, girl on girl's the way to go. And I'm like, fucking oath. Like that's what everyone's watching.
Yeah, it's so true. Like it's funny, like, and everyone's different. Like, I've met some girls that are like actually will watch porn casually by themselves as like just a thing they watch or whatever. Yeah. And then there's certain girls that are like just zero interest in it, but they're someone who's still freaky with their partner or whatever. And I'm like, I don't judge anyone.
And it's everyone's different. But like one thing, coming back to the financial freedom stuff, like it's crazy. It changes your life and it takes a lot of pressure off a lot of things. But I think one thing is like the things that really fill my cup. Like I feel like I'm less materialistic now than I was before I earn a lot of money.
Because you have an abundance.
Yeah. And I think like the things that like fill my cup, the things that make me feel good is doing things for other people. Like I'm really generous and
But you couldn't do that before because your own cup wasn't full.
Yeah.
My client told me the coolest thing because I recently just gave my 2 weeks notice at the gym that I'm working at. Yeah. And I'm actually cutting right back down on face-to-face coaching to focus on my online because my online is like 90% of my income. Yeah. And it's where I have 200 plus clients that need my time every week. I get a DM from at least 70% of them every single week and it's like a lot. And I'm like, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. I'm always on the DMs. I'm voice replying. I'm sending video replies back. And one of my clients said, you need to put your ducklings behind you. Like there's a reason why the ducks have the ducklings behind them. And I'm like, oh yeah, like if you don't look after yourself, how do you look after anyone else around you? And it liberated me and it made me very confident to go in and just to like say this. Because I feel like I'd let people down when I say I'm going to have to cut back on some clients. There's going to be some cut back to help more people online. Yeah. And what I love about what you said, it's like you're at a time now where you could buy a Louis Vuitton bag. You could dress up like these girls that go to the Coachella kind of thing, like, and nothing wrong with that, but you could chase that if you wanted. You could afford to fly there if you want. Yeah. But you're probably still like going to Point Cartwright and walking.
Did you see the car I pulled up in?
No, I didn't.
Some 2002 Mazda 3.
Smart. You're very smart.
Because like gets me from A to B and I just don't care enough. Like that's not the shit that makes me happy. Like I don't.
Cars are overrated. And I'm a full car person. Like obviously you see my car.
I can appreciate a sick car too. Like I rocked up here like 2 nice cars in the driveway. I was like, that's bloody lovely. But like it just.
That's for me, like I'm a car person and it's one of my interests. And I like there's a guy on Instagram who just has a Netflix special now about money and savings. And he goes, it's not about cutting back on everything. It's about figuring out what you really get a value from. So I've got surfboard, just bought a new surfboard recently. I got that car recently. It's like, well, it's actually a tax write-off.
Yeah.
Tax, and you'll get to that eventually in the next few years. You'll realize like, oh fuck, you got to buy things for tax. But as an influencer or like a, you know, someone who has a subscription-based platform, you can use other things to write off tax as well. But as you were saying, like, you're not someone who's wearing like fancy brands and over the top, and you probably earn as much as me right now, I wouldn't even know, but you're not trying to act like you're better than anyone else.
Yeah, no. And it's like, I don't know, I think like not even like staying humble. I just like, I never get that much joy out of things that are like not doing anything for anyone other than myself.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just really changed my perspective. Like I used to love spending money on clothes. And
when you first started getting money, after like especially money where you can see that, I'm not saying that what you do isn't hard work, because actually I don't have an OnlyFans anymore. I'm like just a straight coach now. All my time and effort is just straight, and I don't find myself as like a young like tower selfie. I'm too busy to do that.
Yeah.
But in saying that, at the time, it wasn't easy either, because I have to go through everyone's messages. I have to make sure that I've got things uploaded every few days, otherwise I lose subscribers.
Yeah.
And it was quite hard work. Yes, it's easier than working at McDonald's or Woolworths because the money is higher, but it's still work.
Yeah.
But what I mean by that is when you first started getting cash flow and it was something you were passionate about and you could see that there was going to be more coming.
Yeah.
Did you have a bit of a splurge? Like? Yeah, you did.
A little bit. Yeah. Like I was like, wow, okay, like,
because it's exciting at start.
Yeah, I can let loose a little bit. And I think I decided before I went to Byron Bay the weekend before I started up my OnlyFans, and I really enjoyed myself. I just like, I let loose. I didn't have heaps of money at the time. I was working at a pub, and I was like...
So you went from working at the pub and you're like, I've built something on social media. I've worked for this. I've got out of my own, you know, my traumas from when I was in primary school getting picked on. Like, I'm ready to start this new thing. I'm not going to be getting fucking treated like shit at the pub by drunk fucking dudes.
You know what's so crazy is like maybe 2 weeks before I quit that job and started OnlyFans, I was at work one night and I was working in the pokies by myself, and a guy came in. He was super drunk, and I went out to collect glasses, and he like reached up my skirt and like touched me up. Anyway, I came back, I was in fucking shambles. Like I was really upset, and it just became this massive ordeal. Like no one did anything about it. I just said I'm not coming into work for a week. I had a week off and no one asked me any questions. And then when I like came forward and told them what happened, they went through and watched the video. For starters, I just don't believe men should watch that video full stop, because a man can never have an opinion on something they'll never understand. Like, it frustrated me so much. I was like...
Because in a video, it might look like it happened quickly, but no matter how quick it is, someone became... And us living in Australia, we have a personal bubble. I can't get much closer to you than this without you feeling uncomfortable. Yeah. When you're in Japan on the fucking subway, it's a bit different. But for a man to come inside your bubble, that's one, a strike. Yeah. For him to say things derogative to you, another strike. That's visual, like assault. Verbal assault. And then for him to put his hands on you, his dirty fucking drunk hands on you, while you're at work carrying glasses, so you couldn't do anything about it either. And even if you could, then you're...
And that's one thing, is that these, like, the managers there at the pub are watching it and they're going, she walked away and she laughed. Like, she laughed.
And I'm
like, and I'm like, it's called a response, because... Like, and I can't, like, I'm like, it's actually a waste of my breath to tell you, but like, as a woman, you're in that fucking situation and it's life and death. And like, if you don't laugh, what happens next? Like, you have no fucking idea, and I just don't think you can comment on it. And it was the most frustrating situation. And everyone was like, okay, like, we want you to come back to work. Like, you don't have to go on pokies. 2 days later, they asked me to cover a shift in pokies. And I was like, no one actually respects me in this place. And it was so frustrating. Then I obviously went and started an OnlyFans, and you can imagine everything
what they would say,
everyone said. And I'm like, for once in my life, the power's in my fucking hands. Like, I'm like making money off this. I'm making money, and no one can touch me.
You're with yourself doing something, or you're with your partner. Or you're posting photos where you feel sexy and you're in a safe environment. You're not working for a pimp like back in the day, or you're not stripping to pay for college fees.
Like, I'm like, you walk into this pub, it doesn't give you the right to touch someone. Like, it really doesn't.
No fucking
and like,
way.
the way people look at you like you're a piece of furniture, it's so frustrating. And the fact that, like, my real issue is that these people that I'd worked with for 18 months, no one had my back. No one had my back.
That's when you realise, and the reason why I have built this kind of mini empire to be able to support Alicia and have our little puppy, and I finally built my first house, my only house at the moment, is because I could never keep a job at a normal place because I feel like no one really gave a fuck and respected me, and I worked harder and I didn't see more back.
Yeah.
And when you make one mistake, they're fucking on your neck.
Yeah.
Oh, you need to do this, you need to do that, I need to do this faster. And then even working at gyms, it motivated me so much. I'm working at Fitness Cartel, and I spoke to my manager about this, and people know that I'm very straight up. I'd get in trouble because I would say things where people were like, oh, the ladies at the front desk is a little bit intimidated by the way you're coming in. And I'm like, am I here to make friends? I'm here to train my clients, because like, I am trying to build something online where I'm spending hours and hours. Like, you don't realize how much I'm going through. Yes, I actually first of all said yes, I'll be more polite on my way in, but I'm stressed because I'm like running to my client sessions.
Yeah.
I'm also realizing that they didn't realize I just finished editing a video in the car that's going to go up that afternoon. Like, I'm planning, like, clients are late on moving sessions, and I'm sorry I didn't come in like the fucking Dalai Lama and offer my like guidance to the front desk ladies. And I'd get in trouble because I'm like, and then I'd pay rent to use a gym, and I'm bringing in fucking new female clients every day for the Booty by Jax thing.
Yeah.
And I got to a point, yours was a very much more of extreme situation, but I got to a point at every place that I've worked at, I'm like, fuck this.
Yeah.
I'm going to show them how much I can do on my own.
Yeah.
I'm going to have basically no overheads, Onlyfans or online coaching or whatever. Like, you run your own business. You decide the hours you want to do. If you work harder and it's good quality content, regardless of if you're Patreon, OnlyFans, YouTube, fucking streamers now dress up in little fucking bikinis and play video games or whatever. Like, people might be okay with that, but not be okay with the OnlyFans. It's like, end of the day, you have freedom.
Yeah.
When you put up good shit, it's rewarded, and you make more money. You can invest and eventually look at property. Like, it doesn't have to be a forever thing.
Yeah,
you know?
and that's like, so many people are like so rattled by it. They're like, wow, like, what about when you have kids? And I'm like, that, like, it's so, not that anyone like sat there and like, when like certain members of my mum's family found out, like my auntie was like, yeah, have you thought about the repercussions? I'm like,
yeah, of course.
I'm so fucking educated on it. Like,
you think, like, I didn't think about that 4,000 times before I even pressed the button on the subscription?
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, this is like a 5-year plan thing. Like, I'm gonna sit there, I'm gonna buy investment properties, I'm gonna like invest my money, and I'm gonna live off my passive income. And then I can go do something with my life that I actually want and not have to pick like it based on how much I earn.
A lot of women will speak badly of other women, especially if they personally know you. You know what's funny? If they see a girl who has a big following, I have a few clients that actually do OnlyFans, and I actually have a lot of online clients that do OnlyFans, and instead of asking me for a collaboration or for me to like give them a free coaching so they can do posts, without even asking me, before I even can see that they're following me, they've already bought my online coaching full price. And they're like, I know if you improve my glutes and I look better, I'll make more money online, so it's an investment. And they're like some of the best clients because they're like really focused on what they want.
Yeah.
And I support them. I'm like, you fucking do you.
Yeah.
Like, but the thing is, all the people that have a personal problem with what you're doing, it's only the ones that personally know you, because they see you as like, oh, we want you to stay in the system and we want you to work hard like we did, like an auntie or of relatives. Like, we stay at home wife and we worked part-time and then we worked hard, and it's like, well, we can't afford houses like they did back in the day. You better be making big money if you want to buy something today, because it is fucking extremely expensive.
It's crazy.
We can't do what they did. We have to do something different. And if they seen another girl online with an OnlyFans that was like a pretty girl in whatever way she was advertising it, they would have nothing bad to say.
No.
But because they know you personally, it's like, oh, the old Steph, like I was used to her. And it's like, that Steph was like struggling inside, getting fucking sexually assaulted at her work. And guess what? You got nothing out of it. He didn't pay no fucking nothing for that. You know what I mean? Like, he just...
And, like, it's just... It's so crazy that, like, I've lost what I was thinking about.
I'll I'll bring it back to, if you would have advice for a girl who is growing a following on TikTok. Are you on TikTok?
Yeah.
You don't post that much on there?
I do, 3 times a day.
Oh, you're fucking really consistent.
Yeah, because I lost my account maybe a month and a bit ago. And so like...
it got deleted?
Yeah.
Yeah, that happens sometimes when the little sneaky links in there sometimes.
Yeah.
You got to use the bit.ly and you got to have another link.
Yeah.
You got to have 3 websites.
I had my Twitter link in there. And so I was violating community
Yeah,
guidelines.
but fuck the girls, this shit. Because I had an old TikTok account that got deleted and it was like a one that didn't have many followers, but it was like doing really well. And it was from me when TikTok was like early on, when no one was really using it.
Yeah.
And luckily it didn't have many followers, but I took a video of me smoking fucking weed in Canada because it was legal.
Yeah.
And I put it up and I'm like, I put hashtag legal weed in Canada. Being a young Aussie guy, like going to Canada, I was on top of this rooftop. I just finished an event, like a successful event.
Yeah.
I'm smoking this weed and I breathed it out over the cityscape. Uploaded, I'm like, it's doing really well. And then boom, my account's gone. And I'm like, I got a message and it's like, you like went against the community guidelines. And I'm like, oh yeah, there's kids on here. Like even though it's legal in the country, can't be doing it. But I see people doing real dodgy shit on TikTok all the time and they get away with it, but it's just a timing game.
It's so inconsistent. That's one thing that's really frustrating, is that like some things they'll let slide and some things that they're just super strict on.
Yeah.
But I've had videos where I've like, you've seen a cruiser bottle in the background and it's been deleted, but then there's like other stuff where I'm half naked and it's sweet.
Yeah.
Like
It's
no problems.
It's the AI just trying to pick up what it can.
Yeah.
So you're building your TikTok up again. What's your TikTok? What's your name for your TikTok?
I think it's Steph Keenan 1.
They can find Steph Keenan 1 and then what's your Instagram?
Stephanie Keenan _
Awesome.
Yeah.
So your Instagram's probably where like your most kind of like time is, because it's probably the most revenue and the most like click-throughs on there. What's kind of like next for Steph? Like, are you at the point now where you're like starting to look at creating a little bit of revenue outside of what you're doing, like investing or?
Yeah, I probably could. I think where I want to go, I just really want to buy a house.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
As in like the first property, because if you have your own house, like I actually have a friend that I went to a gym with. I won't name any names, and like anyone I think who was close to him at the gym knows he's doing this, but we're like okay with it. We don't give a shit. But he's the first guy I know personally where him and his girlfriend was so fucking hot. Every time she would do like an INBA comp with him and do a posing practice, I was like, man, she is so attractive.
Yeah.
And then a year later, they did like their Pornhub account together.
Yeah.
And they're like very rich now.
Yeah,
they have like a house up in the bush.
Yeah.
And they have a custom gym that's way better than this.
Yeah.
He has a custom built up truck. She has everything they want. And they just went off grid, their own little vegetable gardens, and like they just went full off grid. And he's investing a lot of his stuff into like crypto and shares and property and everything. And like a lot of people would have, because the Sunny Coast is a small place, like the Sunshine Coast, a lot of people would have been like, oh, we're watching your videos. Like, because the difference with Pornhub is like, it's free for most people to watch what they're putting up. So it's like the next kind of like big jump. But
and everyone has access to that.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's like arguable when you put stuff on the internet, like anyone can see it.
But still,
like,
there's a paywall with OnlyFans and
there's like
whatnot.
steps to go through to actually get there. Like my family wouldn't just like go onto my Instagram and
click through the link.
But again, it's a respect thing.
Yeah.
Family, friends, like I would expect most people not to. And people, but Sunny Coast, again, people are nosy. It's small.
If they have the time to do that, it's because they're like that interested in you. And guess what? They're paying a subscription.
Yeah, they're paying me money. And the thing is, like I get it. Like the shoe's been on the other foot. I've sat there and I've looked.
It's like what's behind the
what's
behind the curtains,
right?
You know?
And I've looked at girls doing OnlyFans, and the only time I've ever said anything negative is out of jealousy. Before I started like OnlyFans, like myself, I was like,
when you see them making big money,
I just wish I could do that. Like I just wish. But
instead of saying that, you go, oh, it's easy for you because just put more of this up or whatever. But really, you were actually externally saying what you don't like about yourself.
Yeah, exactly. And so like, I never take anything personally. Like people, and when people say to me all the time, like, I could never do that. And I'm like, it's like
Why are they telling you that? Because by them saying I could never do that, yeah, cool. You know that. I don't need to. Why are you telling me that? Because you know that I could ever do it because I'm doing it.
Yeah,
you know
did you
what I mean?
actually need to voice that? Because like, what's that adding?
It's like me walking up to a guy who's bench pressing more weight than me and being like, I could never do that. And he goes, no, you could do that. It would take you building muscle. You have to put more time in it. You have to stop being a little bitch.
Literally, like, do they want me to sit there and like listen to? You could do that. All you have to do is like, you start this account doing the.
Next time it's like, no, you could do that. You probably wouldn't get paid much as me because you're not as good. You know what I mean? Or
like you probably couldn't be my level, but yeah, you give it a crack.
Well, the thing is, like any single person, no matter how much they respect themselves, no matter how much they're on their high horse or whatever, they're probably having sex with their partner. So yes, physically you could do it, and yes, mentally you could do it, but you wouldn't make anything because you haven't built an empire through Instagram. You haven't done the work. Like people don't see the 4 or 5 years that you were posting, and then there was like that 3 years since I seen you at the beach, and then like 6-8 months ago or whatever, or you before the incident that happened at your work. It's like between those 2 dates, you worked your ass off posting and putting content up, doing extra stuff, getting out of your comfort zone, dealing with eating disorder, going to a therapist, like spending all this money to get yourself healthy, a thick skin to deal with the bullshit.
Yeah.
So they don't see that. All they see is like, oh, so if you've got this many people clicking through, you must be making about this much. And they always add it to be more or less or whatever it is. They just don't see that. So
100%.
everyone I know and have hung out with, as soon as I drop that, like I either got high or I smoked on the weekend, you can see their eyes go, and they're like, they straight away get more comfortable around me because they're like, oh, I've done that a few times, or like, you know, and I don't mean like heavy smoking. Like there's definitely like, it's just like everything. Like if I put up a video of me filming a video on Instagram of me having a beer, no one would care. Yeah. Just having a beer. Yeah. I'd probably go more viral, like, good for you. But if I'm pulling a fucking 6-foot bong on the floor, everyone's like, oh man, he's drugger or whatever. It's like, because we were shown, the government wanted us to think that this was illegal and this was legal, like, just because it's legal. Yeah, it's crazy. It's so crazy. All right, so I want to finish off with just a little bit of your like kind of next steps and vision. You were just saying before that your big dream of yours would be to like get your own property, your own house. Yeah. I've just always thought that's so massive. And then growing up, I realised that that's probably not going to be a reality for me because... At just a normal job and stuff. Because, like until I'm like 50. Like, and even then it's like it's just going to... The prices of houses are going up faster than what you can buy them. And I always thought I would be successful because I'm just really driven. Like I never had a specific like passion as much as I just wanted to do well in life. And I think like because my mum was so successful and like built an empire by herself, I was always like really impressed. She went to uni, whereas like I looked at my dad and he didn't do any of those things. And same with my dad. And he got when they got divorced, he got everything. She at the time owned one pharmacy, and they had a house, car, like the whole kit and caboodle. He got everything, all the money, and she got her one pharmacy. So like she started again because she wanted to keep her passion. Her job. Started again with nothing. He lost the house, he lost the money, and then like we started living with my mum. So we were like going week on, week off, and then we started living 10 days with mum, 4 days with dad, and he stopped getting child support. So he's like, I don't want you to be here anymore. Yeah, and he's like walked away. Like it was literally that disgusting, simple. Yeah, about the money, which is so crazy. My dad took off when I was like 3. Yeah. And he worked he moved as far away, he moved to the top of Australia. So that way he didn't have to deal with anything like any looking after us or whatever. And then he only did cash jobs. Yeah. His whole life, so he never had to pay $1 child support to my mum. Which is so crazy. And people will go, what inspires you? Like, how come you're so driven? Like, why are you doing extra? Like, you could just do half of what you're doing and you'd still like be able to get by. And I'm like, I just like, I don't know, I think I'm trying to prove something to my father or like
Yeah.
trying to show, not so much, I've let that go actually, and I don't like hold too much around that. I've done I've had a few mushroom journeys where like I like realize that I'm like, what am I holding against my father? Like, I don't know the full story or what he's going through or whatever. I forgive my father for some of the choices he made, even though it's deep down I'm like, you motherfucker.
Yeah.
I'll never want to, and that's the thing that probably inspired me the most. I want to be successful enough before I have a son or a daughter that I never let them fall into like the poverty that we had when we were younger. And when I say poverty, we had good quality food, we had a lot of love from my mum, and had a roof over our head, and she always kept us alive, you know, kept us easily alive. But I wasn't going to no school camps, I wasn't buying no motorbikes, I wasn't getting the shit my friends were getting. I was wearing no brand names, I was getting hand-me-downs from my older sister, like school shirts. I'm like, I can't fucking, what the fuck's this? Like, back when there was like same school shirts, it was funny as. So I think people who ask me that question, it's like, I want to show mum that she raised me to be like highly successful, and I know every time I do well, like I took her for a drive in my new car when I got it, and she just had the best time ever. She was laughing, filming it, showing her friends and stuff.
It's so good.
So you want to get a property?
Yeah, and I think like I've always had this real preconceived idea, like that's the difference, is that like my dad never like educated himself, was never driven, and just like was selfish, and he didn't give a fuck, didn't own a house, didn't do anything. And I really, really want to make my mum proud. I think that was one thing that was really tough about like starting OnlyFans, telling her that I started OnlyFans. I
would have been so hard for you.
Was so fucking nervous because she's the one person in this world that I just want to be proud of.
That's the only person you cared about what they I That's the only person.
Yeah, and once she was sweet, it made my life. I literally, no one could say anything.
I get it now. Fuck. I get, and I hope the listeners and the viewers get this now. Like, it has to be okay with the right people to feel really good about it. And and sometimes that could just be you.
Yeah.
If there's someone out there that wants to do something.
If you can totally validate everything by yourself, that is so impressive.
Yeah.
Like, and that's one thing. Like, I used to get a lot of validation from outside.
Yeah.
Like, and that's so, like, the first time I had a video blow up on TikTok, I was like, holy fuck, like, this is so crazy. And then, like, after it all died off, like, I was back to feeling really flat. And I was like, wow, like, that's so temporary. Like, that's so temporary. And I would always, like, even in past relationships, like, we'd be going good, everything would be, like, sweet. And I would never cheat, like, sleep with anyone else or anything, but like I would get a message from someone and it would just like, or like a guy would DM me, and like instead of just like not replying, like I'd send them,
would be
I'm like, it would just give me validation.
You weren't thinking that it was a bad thing. You were just like, I just want love from everyone.
Yeah, and that's how I looked at it. I was like,
growing up without having that love from the father as well.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. And it's crazy how long it took me to work out that I need to learn how to like validate myself.
From you. I think that's a journey for everyone, eh?
Yeah.
It's probably one of the strongest things we could like share out of this whole thing. It's like, some people might say that you've got like daddy issues as if a girl who had a hard father life. Well, then you've got a dad.
I love that one. Everyone, daddy issues.
Yeah,
I'm like,
and you just
it is.
Like, yeah. But your daddy issues inspired you to be good for you, to make your mum proud or whatever. And no one knows what the fuck you're actually going through. Like,
no.
So like, you know, you could have easily gone the opposite direction and gone like drugs and fucking waste and just, you know, there's plenty of girls over there, there's plenty of girls over this side, which like, okay, I had this growing up, so I'm going to be with a guy that's like my father somehow. I accidentally end up there. A lot of girls do that.
Yeah.
And then drugs, and then like having a guy who's got money, who's like a drug dealer or some wealthy guy, and then he treats you like shit, but you got to rely on him. But you now have like individual power.
Yeah,
that, like,
it's one thing.
No one can do shit for you.
I looked at my mum and I was like, I want to be, like, I would never want to rely on a man. And my last boyfriend was a fucking angel, and he was fly in, fly out, and it was just like a really hard lifestyle, like for me. Like I felt like I based my whole life around him, and I got all my happiness from him, and it just didn't work. Like it made me really depressed, and he'd go away and I'd be sad. It just
wasn't the right timing. It wasn't the right situation. And I like that you can have respect and say that he was like a really nice guy, because I dated a girl in high school, and it might not seem like a very serious relationship, but we were like 2.5 years through the most crucial part of high school. We lived together. I was doing an electrical apprenticeship with her father. I lived with them in Caloundra, moved from like Gympie, lived there. It was my first time on the sunny coast. We were like, everyone thought that we were going to like get married and have kids, but I lost my virginity to her. She lost her virginity to me. And we both realized deep down that it would hurt more the longer we wait.
Yeah.
So I sabotaged it by just spending more time with my mates, and then she sabotaged it by like spending time with her friends who had other guys that were hanging around. And because I wasn't showing her the love and attention, another guy showed her that love and attention, and then she went towards that. And at the age, I'm like, fuck this, I'll fight this guy. And it's like, well, I did that to myself, and we were both like telling each other subliminally that it's not going to last forever. And those relationships that do at that young age, it ends up being some like crazy thing where you're not happy and you resent them, and then people are drinking or whatever. And it's like, I can say that she was an amazing woman, and you can say your ex was an amazing man. And it's cool to say that. Like, we learnt stuff from every situation. Yeah.
And I, like, he was awesome. He supported me. And even when we broke up, he's like, I was having like a lot of troubles financially. And he's like, I still want you to go see a psychologist. Like, I'll pay for that. But like, I also realised, like, I never want to rely on another person
it's not the best
financially.
feeling,
And it sucks. And he was very careful with how he used it, but I know that there are people out there that like love that power.
She said like it was a good version of it.
And now...
But it's still guilt that you have to live with.
100%. Like, it fucking ate away at me. And now I'm the breadwinner. It's the best thing ever. Like, I pay for everything for myself.
So you were saying earlier that your partner does some of the videos with you?
Yeah.
So like, you're the breadwinner, but he's like, I'm a part of the fucking, what do they call it? They call it in, what do they call it in like adult acting? It's like he's a part of one of the models or whatever. Like, he's a part of the shoot, you know? You know, there was this thing that happened a few years ago with Onlyfans. This is a while ago. Guys were bringing girls in, or girls were bringing guys in. Mostly guys were doing it. They were figuring out how to make money off this. They were hooking up with girls and saying to them, hey, I'll give you $1,000, make this video with me. I'm going to put it on my OnlyFans or whatever. Then the OnlyFans and the lawyers came in, and they've got this new thing now where anyone who you do a collaboration with gets 50% of the unlockable videos fee. Or something like that, unless it's like a relationship or whatever. But like, it's
even
cool
now, OnlyFans is just altered things. So like, you have to have written consent
from
anyone.
Yeah.
So,
even the guy in the closet just watching?
Literally. Everyone. They're like, who's that little guy? Someone's gone through your videos. They're like,
he better get
someone
20%.
Pops up.
There's a neighbours.
I hope you're paying him.
I wonder if any of your neighbours like know of it. Like, that's a funny thing?
I don't reckon like my neighbours as much as... Like, there's just been certain instances where like a random person's like walked past or like seen something.
Hello.
Yeah. Or even like...
Same as if someone was famous in a movie. It's no different. It's like weird around you.
Dude, like, someone messaged me on OnlyFans the other day and was like, I saw you running in Malula Bar. And I was like, oh, fuck.
Hey, dude, don't tell me that stuff.
I was like, that's sweet.
When it gets weird.
Well, I'm like, no, like, don't make it weird. Like, because there are people that go to my gym.
Just say hello.
I was like, and some guy was like, would it be weird if I came up to you? I'm like, it's weird that you're asking. Like, just come up to me and say hello. I'm a normal person.
Be weird if you're at the other side of the cable machine going like this.
Yeah, he's doing this.
Like, pulls down and
he's like, let me jump in with you, babe. I was like, woo. I'll just work in. I'm
got
like,
any discounts running today? Like, shit, bro.
We got what videos out today? I'm like, oh my God, chill out.
So the goal is the property. Do you like a bit of travel and freedom? And is that something that's cool that you can now, you and a partner can say, okay, it's a tax write-off to go travel here and make videos here and
Perth,
shit like.
tax write-off.
Yeah, so your partner came with you?
No, but because I got content.
Yes.
It's like, so I actually talked to an accountant about it, my mum's accountant, and he was saying like, if you can prove that you got like this much content every day, then like you can, it's like 70% of the trip is for content.
Your content directly works into your income.
Yeah.
There's the tax, this is a bit off, but this is cool if anyone's, there's probably lots of female influencers that you'd be surprised. You know how you were saying you have a lot of guys that follow you?
Yeah.
I can tell you right now, I did a collab with another girl who tagged me on her stories, and she actually was already paying for my workout programs and everything. I was like so proud. I was like, she's like TikTok famous, Instagram. She's got a big OnlyFans. Yeah. And she was like, oh, I've already been your client. I've been paying for your programs for a while. And I'm like, oh, sweet, let me sort you out. I'll put you on free membership. Yeah. And just tag me in some stuff. I really appreciate it. And I thought because she did OnlyFans and she was big boob, blah, 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 that I thought that I wouldn't get many followers or new clients from it. But holy shit, I had like 500 good quality female accounts all follow me within like 24 hours. Then I had like 10 new client sign-ups. Then I've got a heap of these girls that are like young girls that are like doing OnlyFans or got like that 20 to 30K on Instagram where they're just before they go back to start some type of business like that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is amazing. Like, you'll be surprised how many girls will be watching this once I tag you and they'll really want to know about the tax side of this. So you've spoke to a tax guy and they've changed the the ATO, which is the Australian Taxation Office or whatever. America might have something different.
Yeah.
They actually weren't letting influencers do this, but then influencers strike back with the thing from their accountant. And it's like, wait, like, this is how we make our money. We have to go to Bali, and by going to this sushi place or this, I'm getting a photo at Single Fins or whatever, that's helping me with my followers to buy my whatever, my subscription or whatever.
Yeah, I could not believe. So like after the first 2 months doing OnlyFans, it was very obvious that I needed to talk to an accountant.
Yeah, see, I didn't do it for ages.
Yeah, well, I didn't know that it was a thing. I was like, I didn't even think about paying tax. Like,
people who spend all their money they make through online coaches, anyone who's making decent money through blowing up on social media or whatever, they spend all the money they make and then they go, uh-oh, at the ATO comes after them.
Bro, 30% of what I make. Yeah. Like, it's absurd.
It's more than 30% if you make over 120K. I think it goes up to 37 and then it goes to 45.
No way.
Are you just on an ABN at the moment?
Yeah.
I've got some tips for you. We'll say it now because we're not disclosing any company information.
Yeah.
But like, so I had a crazy tax bill last financial year, June, July, and one of my clients is my accountant. She's actually got awesome glutes. She looks like she's got a BBL, but it's 100% natural. She's just like genetics and training or whatever. Yeah. She looks like the dumbest blonde chick, like a hot blonde, but she's so intelligent.
Yeah.
She's about to take ownership on one of the big accountant firms on the sunny coast.
Yeah.
So I got to talk to her while we're training. And she was like, what are you doing? Like, if you register as a company, you only get taxed 25%. So what I did is I got a big tax bill. I told the accountant everything. Hey, I'm building a house at the moment or whatever, or I'm stressed with money or whatever, as we always are. The more you make, the more you are.
Yeah.
Can I not pay this tax bill? You can put it off for a whole year and then do it on a payment plan, interest free. So we're doing that at the moment. But then what do I do? And she's like, you start a company, you put yourself as the director of the company, you put all your earnings into the company account, just like a normal bank account, similar to an ABN. But the big catch is the first dollar you make, you're taxed 25%. The difference when you're doing an ABN, the first $17,000 and then when you get to like 60 or 70 or something, it goes to like 37 or 30%. Yeah. Then if you get over 100, I think it goes to like 45. Eventually, if you're making over 150K, whatever it is, I think, let's look it up, but this is pretty close to what I was going through. If you're making over 100K and consistently each year on your company, on your business or whatever, you should be looking at getting into a company because it's set at 25%. So you're saving yourself like lots of tax. So once you've done a full year, it costs like 5K or something to get a company started or whatever. But I've got friends that have I've got a Indigenous artist chick that I'm really good friends with, a client of mine. She has a really good company that they're on the sunny coast, but she sells worldwide to like these Indigenous awesome paintings and stuff. And they did really good for 2 years. And they were telling me about the company as well. And everyone kept telling me, I was like, okay, we'll do it. So yeah, look at that. Like, where basically you can pay yourself a wage through the company to offset your tax.
That's awesome.
So what I do with my business is I pay Alicia a wage, I pay myself a wage, and that's the only money I spend. I don't touch any of the company money because when you get to like BAS and tax time, it's like, whoa. Yeah. But I learned the hard way seeing one big bill. So now you like offset your taxable income by paying the wage. You can pay yourself and your partner a wage through the company. And then you can get like an assistant to like run your DMs and everything as well and pay them a wage, and then whatever's left over you get the 25% tax bill.
Let's go. I'm dreading tax time.
Yeah, my mate said the more you pay tax, the more the banks will let you borrow the house prices. So 1 year I purposely let my tax bill be pretty high so I could get the banks would take me serious for a bigger loan. Yeah. Because if you keep buying stuff to bring your tax down, you're actually bringing your taxable income down. That's what they look at. Yeah. But yeah, I loved our chat. That was really awesome.
Yeah, that was.
You would like so many girls that are going through eating disorder, going through like shame about like what they look like, comparison. They're going to get a lot of value from this. And I know there's going to be so many girls that follow you and follow me that are going to be so like weird and upset about like speaking to people around them if they want to do, not just OnlyFans, just anything. They want to start their own clothing brand, or they want to post more bikini photos and they feel people are shaming them
The fact
about
that some
it.
people like get nervous to post on TikTok and stuff, like when I was in school and I was like, oh no, can't be doing that. If I'd started like,
When you're younger, these girls that start young, they're just
I'd be so much further ahead. Just do it. Just like, who cares, honestly? Like, learn how to validate yourself.
So we're going to do a workout collab for YouTube.
Yeah.
Probably next week when my assistant is available, and I'm excited for that. I'll take you through like a booty workout, and I'll do the workout with you because I find that some videos where I'm just like training someone, it's like, oh, I want to feel the suffering a little bit too. Like, If a trainer's like, yeah, just do this, it's like, no, let's do it together. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. That's been awesome.
Awesome.
Cheers.